Well, he spent 3.5 years in Russian captivity, his life on hold, hoping for a miracle. Now, an American history teacher, Marc Fogel, is back on U.S. soil with a chance to start over again. Everything changed for the Pennsylvania native in August of 2021. Marc and his wife had flown back to Russia for their 10th and final year of teaching when Marc was detained in Moscow. His family says he was carrying 17 grams of medical marijuana to treat his back pain. Fogle was sentenced to 14 years in prison, but was finally released this week and traveled to the White House to meet with President Trump there. Fogle and his family, including his 95-year-old mother, say they feel blessed.
I feel like the luckiest man on earth right now.
When Marc comes in, I think I'm going to feed him. I'll make sure I have all the things he likes. Strangers have said to me, "Are you Marc Fogel's mother?" And they actually recognize me from being on the news, I guess. But that is the truth. I can't tell you how many people have asked me if I'm Marc's mother, and they're all praying for him.
And we have the two attorneys who work to secure his release. They are Dimitry Afanasiev. He joins us live from Moscow, and Martin DeLuca joining us live from Miami. Thank you so much for being with us, gentlemen. Martin, I want to start with you. Take us through the moment you found out that Marc would be a free man. Did he get a call from the president? Or who called you? How did you find out?
Well, we were working on this for quite some time. And so what ended up happening is that in the days leading up to the release, we had some noise. We were coordinating across the board, and so we had some good visibility. But you're never sure until it actually happens. So the first call I got was from the plane, 17 minutes after they cleared Russian airspace. And they were on their way back to Washington.
And how is Marc feeling now that he's back on American soil? Does he have any plans for the future at this point?
Too early to talk about plans for the future for him.
Okay.
He's now at the State Department facility for readaptation when Americans that are wrongfully detained around the world are brought home. So it's a facility that gives them time to recover, to have a lot of comfort, space, therapy if necessary, and be close to and be together with your family and friends. And that's what he's doing now.
And how long will he stay at that facility?
It's on a case-by-case basis.
Okay.
So I would imagine probably through the weekend.
And Dimitry, I wanted to get to you. You're in Russia right now, and I understand you had a very personal connection to Marc Fogel. Can you take us back to how you first got involved with this case?
Yeah, well, Marc is an excellent teacher. And actually, the kids from the American school in Moscow asked my kids if I could represent Marc Fogel. So main reason why he's back home is because he's an excellent teacher. Kids are his best advocates in the beginning. You know, this week seems to be full of good news. Marc is back home. There's a chance for world peace. And Philadelphia Eagles have scored a win because I am a Philly fan. I'm an Eagles fan. I used to spend time in Philadelphia. And it's very exciting to me that's happening right now.
Lots to celebrate in your household. I'm curious, did your children have a chance to talk to Marc after he got out?
Well, we had a wonderful video call with Marc and all the lawyers in our law firm just the other day. Well, my kids weren't part of that, but I look forward to us reconnecting at some point. That would be a very emotional event, I think.
Martin, I want to get back to you. When you think of Marc's case, you know, Brittany Griner's story comes to mind because she was also imprisoned in Russia for medical marijuana possession. She went on to be released in December of 2022. And then last August, 3 Americans were released in the most significant swap with Russia since the end of the Cold War. So leading up to each swap, how was Marc handling not being included in those releases? Did he ever lose hope that he was ever going to be released?
He was devastated, but he never lost hope. And as you saw from his appearance in the diplomatic room in the White House, he's a guy with great spirit. He is a symbol of perseverance because it really takes something to be passed up in 3 prisoner swaps. It was actually 3 that they passed him up on during the Biden administration. And it's inexplicable. It's inexcusable. The wrongful designation, the wrongful detention designation, which is required by law for the U.S. government to focus resources and prioritize getting you out, didn't come for 3 years. And there were many excuses during the Biden administration, but none of those excuses held any water. Even when speaking about classified information that, of course, we can't discuss here, none of those excuses held any water. But the ultimate manifestation that they didn't hold any water was that the family ended up getting the official letter notifying them that Mark had been designated wrongfully detained the day after the U.S. presidential election. So that tells you a lot.
So I guess this is a question maybe for both of you. What could this mean for the other Americans detained in Russia that are now fighting for their freedom? Is this a renewed hope for their possible release?
From my perspective,
I'll start with you, Martin. Go ahead.
From my perspective, it's absolutely renewed hope. Because when countries like the United States and Russia are talking to each other, better things happen, right? And Marc Fogel is now part of history because his release set the stage for the Ukraine peace negotiations, right? So we had, as Dimitry was saying, we've had a wonderful, wonderful week. Mark got released on Tuesday. President Trump and President Putin had their first substantive call. I think it lasted over an hour and a half to discuss resolving the Ukraine conflict on Wednesday. And today, Friday, the peace negotiations started in Munich, led by the vice president. So it's been a spectacular week, and it shows you what decisive leadership can do. And it's, I think, a week that symbolizes what it means when people talk about peace through strength.
Dimitry, I'm curious to know what your perspective is, given that you are in Moscow right now.
Well, this is a very special case, and I have to say that my American co-counsel, Martin DeLuca, did the heavy lifting because it's his brilliant strategy that allowed the family to be positioned in a way that Donald Trump was really caring about the fate of Marc Fogel. It is only because of that that the ball has moved. And my job was, frankly, the easiest part. All I had to do is to convince the Russians that what Donald Trump cares about matters. Yeah. And I think that's not so difficult at the moment. Yeah, it's really working together that got us the success that we all were hoping for several years. And really in the last several months that we, Martin and I, started feeling that we actually have a realistic and pragmatic chance. I do hope that all the other cases will be resolved in a successful way. But I think at this point, what I'm doing is I'm praying for peace to come in whatever shape or form. And I think if the big guys resolve the big things, then it's going to make a lot of people's lives better.
Dimitry Afanasiev and Martin DeLuca, thank you so much to you both for joining us today.
Thank you for having us.